sightings have been reported off Horn Island in years, not one. And yet on July 4, 2026, an 18-year-old black football player went to that island with his white friends and never came home. Today, the joint examination of Nolan Wells' phone, the phone his friends took off that island without him, the phone that came back with messages deleted, is either happening right now or just happened inside the Jackson County District Attorney's office. And whatever is on that device is about to go before a grand jury. But here is what nobody covering this case is talking about today. While Nolan's family is waiting for answers, the friends who left him on that island have quietly raised over $130,000. Not for Nolan, for themselves, to defend against lawsuits and sue anyone who blamed them online. The fundraiser is titled, Stand with Nolan Wells' Targeted Friends. They used his name. He is dead, and they are raising 6 figures. The NAACP's Office of General Counsel joined this case 4 days ago. The Congressional Black Caucus gave the Department of Justice 7 days to explain what action it has taken.
If this were your child, wouldn't you want to know what happened?
A Florida attorney just broke down the CETO call and uncovered what the grandfather's timing actually means. And ocean engineering experts are now examining the tidal patterns around Horn Island because Ben Crump says the location where Nolan's body was found does not add up.
You mentioned earlier there are some contradictions.
Yes.
What gives you confidence or perhaps concern about the investigation so far?
Well, the fact that they continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation while they were on the boats of argument where you had Nolan and somebody yelling at one another on the boat. So that
60 witnesses have been interviewed. The state autopsy is complete and sealed. The cause of death is still undetermined. No arrests have been made. This is where this case stands today, August 21st, 2026. And the gap between what is being said publicly and what is sitting inside that grand jury file just got a lot harder to ignore. This channel has 10 subscribers. 10 people who chose to be here before most people even knew this channel existed. Thank you. If you are watching this and you are not yet one of them, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Let's start with the phone, because everything in this case eventually comes back to that device. Nolan Wells went to Horn Island on July 4th without a way to call for help, without a way to reach his mother, without a way to tell anyone where he was or what was happening to him, because his phone left that island on a boat without him. That is a confirmed fact. His friends took it. They have said they did not tamper with it. But when Christine Wansley received her son's phone, she opened Snapchat and found it empty. She checked his second account. Also empty. She did this before the 24-hour automatic deletion window had closed. The content should have still been there. Now think about what that means psychologically for a mother. She has just lost her son. His body was found face down in the water near the northwestern tip of the same island he was supposed to have left safely. And the first thing she does when she gets his phone back, the last connection to who he was and what he was doing in his final hours, is open it and find nothing. Not a message, not a photo, not a memory, nothing. That emptiness is not just a legal question, it is a human one. And it has been sitting inside Christine Wansley every single day since July 6th.
they tracked this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because her 2 sons, Jalen and Javon, they grew up together. They played City League sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
The phone examination happening today, or in the past 48 hours, is the first time that device will be formally examined with all relevant parties present. Representatives from the District Attorney's Office, the family's forensic team, and potentially the FBI. Family attorney Lisa Park confirmed the parties agreed the device would be examined once, with all investigators present. One examination. Whatever it shows to everyone in that room at the same time. And whatever it shows will go to the grand jury, along with the sealed state autopsy results, and 60 witness interviews that the public has never seen. Here is the question that has no clean answer yet. If someone deleted those messages before the phone was returned to the family, someone who knew a mother was about to open that device and go looking for her son's last words, what does that decision say about what they knew? And what does it say about what they were afraid she would find? Now let's talk about the $130,000. Because this detail tells you more about where this case is heading legally than almost anything else that has happened in the past month. Warren Hudson, Jax Patalo, and Morgan Seymour, 3 friends who were with Nolan on July 4th, have raised over $130,000 on a platform called Give Send Go. The fundraiser was created by Dr. Benjamin Hudson, Warren's father. It is titled, Stand with Nolan Wells' Targeted Friends. That title was not an accident. Using a dead 18-year-old's name to frame the people who left him on an island as the real victims of this story is a deliberate framing choice. And it has worked. 6 figures in donations from strangers who believe these young men have been wrongly accused. The stated purpose is twofold. First, defend against wrongful death lawsuits that Ben Crump's team has signaled are coming. Second, pursue slander and libel claims against people who blamed them online. Dr. Benjamin Hudson has already publicly threatened to sue Ben Crump for defamation. Crump called it a distraction. None of the 3 friends have been charged with any crime. No charges have been filed in this case against anyone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office has not named any suspects. But the fact that 3 young men have assembled a 6-figure legal war chest before a grand jury has even convened tells you something about what their attorneys believe is coming. Stop and sit with the psychology of that for a moment. You are a young man in your early 20s. Your friend is dead. The official investigation has not charged you with anything. The sheriff said from the beginning there was no evidence of foul play. And yet your father creates a fundraiser, raises $130,000, threatens to sue the family's attorney, and sends you back to the island with your own legal team to conduct an unofficial investigation. Does that sound like the behavior of someone who believes the truth will simply set them free? Or does it sound like the behavior of someone who has been told by a lawyer that the truth, on its own, may not be enough? Subscribe to this channel. We cover this case and others like it with one standard, the confirmed record and nothing else. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. Now let's talk about the CETO call, because this recording has been at the center of more public debate than almost any other piece of evidence released in this investigation. And a Florida attorney just broke down a specific detail inside it that almost nobody else has examined.
CETO Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the work coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources released the recording of a distress call one of Nolan's friends made to a private towing company called CETO on July 4th, around 4 p.m. On the call, the caller says the bilge pump stopped working and the boat is sinking. He says they need help. He gives GPS coordinates. He says there are about 7 people on board and everyone is in good health. Then the dispatcher speaks with a CETO captain. And the captain says something that has not received nearly enough attention. A relative of the boat owner contacted CETO and said the people on board had solved the problem themselves and do not need any help right now. A relative of the boat owner, not one of the teenagers on the boat. A family member, on land, called a towing company and told them to stand down before any official confirmation that the boat situation had been resolved. The Florida attorney who broke this down 3 days ago asked the specific question that this detail demands. At what point did a relative on land know that the boat problem was handled? Who communicated that to them? And how much time passed between the distress call and that family member's intervention? Because the timing of that call shapes the entire departure timeline for the night Nolan was left on that island. The available independent report confirms that existing materials do not independently verify the reported time that the boat departed Horn Island. GPS records for the vessel, authenticated video metadata, complete occupant lists. These are all listed as unanswered questions that investigators still need to resolve. The CETO call is a piece of a timeline that has not yet been locked down, and a family member on land calling off the tow before investigators could use that response to independently verify who was or was not on that boat when it left is a detail that deserves far more scrutiny than it has received. Here is the question worth sitting with. If the boat had genuinely been repaired and everyone was fine, why did a relative need to call CETO instead of the teenagers calling directly to say they no longer needed assistance? Now let's talk about something that has been underreported since it was confirmed 2 days ago. No drownings have been reported off Horn Island in years. TMZ confirmed this on August 20th. The family has continued raising this point in every public appearance. Horn Island is a federally managed barrier island under the Gulf Islands National Seashore. It is managed by the National Park Service. Hundreds of people go there every July 4th. It is accessible only by private boat. People swim there. People wade in the water there. People have been going there for decades on summer holidays. And according to confirmed reporting, nobody drowns there. Not regularly. Not recently. That fact does not prove what happened to Nolan Wells. But it does something equally important. It makes the official baseline assumption that Nolan simply drowned accidentally in waters where people do not drown harder to accept without further explanation. If this were a stretch of water with a documented history of drowning incidents, the accidental drowning conclusion would feel more plausible on its face. The absence of that history means the investigation owes this case more than a shrug and a press release that said no foul play was suspected. Ben Crump has brought in ocean engineering experts for precisely this reason. They are examining the tidal patterns around the northwestern tip of Horn Island, the location where Nolan's body was recovered, to determine whether the tides and currents on July 4th and July 5th are consistent with the body ending up there from the location where Nolan was last reportedly seen. Crump said it is not adding up. Low tides and high tides both factor into where a body in the water moves over time. If the science of that water does not place Nolan where he was found based on the conditions that night, that is not speculation. That is oceanographic evidence. What does it mean when the location where a body is found cannot be explained by the natural movement of the water? Who do you ask that question to? And what happens to the official drowning assumption if the answer is that the water could not have put him there? Let's talk about what the legal machinery building around this case actually signals. Because the volume and velocity of legal activity in the past 2 weeks tells you something that press conferences and sheriff statements cannot. The Knox Office of General Counsel announced on August 17th that it is joining the legal team representing Nolan's family. Kristen Clark, the General Counsel, said the organization is taking up this fight to search for truth and to demand transparency. The NOCB's General Counsel Office does not attach itself to cases it does not believe have institutional merit. This is not a press conference appearance. This is a formal legal commitment. They are now part of the team. 4 days before that, the Congressional Black Caucus sent a letter to Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel demanding a federal review into Nolan's death. Congresswoman Lucy McBath stood at a press conference in Atlanta and said, "We are demanding a full federal investigation as to what has actually happened to Nolan Wells." The CBC gave the Justice Department 7 days to respond. The DOJ confirmed it received the letter and is reviewing it carefully. That response from the DOJ, "We received it and are reviewing it carefully," is the language of an institution that is not dismissing what it has been asked. It is also the language of an institution that is not committing to anything yet. 7 days have passed since that letter was sent. What the DOJ decides to do with it will determine whether this case stays inside the Jackson County legal system or whether it becomes a federal matter. Horn Island's status as a federally managed National Park Service property is central to that question. If what happened on that island on July 4th falls under federal jurisdiction, and there is a legitimate legal argument that it does, then the investigation does not belong exclusively to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. It belongs to a system with far more resources, far more independence from local political pressure, and far more authority to compel testimony. 3 people have already been federally charged for making interstate threats against witnesses and officials in this case. That means federal jurisdiction over this matter has already been exercised once. The question is whether it gets exercised again, this time over the death itself. Here is a question that has no comfortable answer. When a young black man dies under unexplained circumstances in Mississippi, a state with a documented history of racial violence that stretches back generations, and the initial official response is no foul play suspected, how much trust does that official response deserve on its own? That is not a rhetorical question. It is the question that Elmore Wansley is asking every single day. It is the question Christine Wansley is carrying into every press conference, every convention appearance, every courthouse filing. It is the question that brought the NAACP's General Counsel, Ben Crump, Reverend Al Sharpton, the Congressional Black Caucus, Colin Kaepernick, Tyler Perry, and ocean engineering experts into a case that a county sheriff initially described as showing no evidence of foul play within 24 hours of the body being found. None of those people and institutions attach themselves to cases they believe are genuinely accidental. That is not a statement about guilt. It is a statement about probability. When that many people with that much at stake, reputationally, legally, financially, line up behind a family demanding answers, it is because what they have seen and heard inside this investigation does not match what has been said publicly. Elmore Wansley said at the NAACP convention that every day is a challenge. He said they are going to miss their son. He said they just want honesty. A father asking for honesty about what happened to his child on a federal island in the middle of a holiday crowd is not asking for much. He is asking for the minimum, and every institution that has entered this case in the past 6 weeks has done so because that minimum has not yet been provided. What does it take for a family to get the truth about how their child died? What does it say about a system when the answer to that question requires the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, a civil rights attorney, a former NFL quarterback, a filmmaker, and ocean engineering experts to force an answer that a county sheriff should have provided on July 7th? And what does it say about all of us that we are still asking? Nolan Wells is gone. He was 18 years old. He would have turned 19 on August 19th. The cause and manner of his death are officially undetermined. The state autopsy is complete and sealed pending grand jury review. Toxicology results have not been publicly released. The independent autopsy conducted by Dr. Roger Mitchell found no major injuries, but could not determine cause of death, and could not rule out foul play due to decomposition and the missing throat tissue retained by the state. The joint phone examination involving the district attorney's office, the family's forensic team, and potentially the FBI, is either happening today or has just been completed. The phone and its contents will go to the grand jury. A grand jury review is expected within 30 days, according to family attorney Eric Hertz. No drownings have been reported off Horn Island in years. Ocean engineering experts are examining whether the tidal conditions on July 4th and 5th are consistent with the location where Nolan's body was recovered. A Florida attorney has identified a specific detail in the sea tow call, the grandfather's intervention, that raises new questions about the departure timeline. The Friends have raised $130,000 in a legal defense and defamation fund. 3 people have been federally charged for making interstate threats against witnesses and officials. The NAACP's Office of General Counsel joined the legal team on August 17th. The Congressional Black Caucus demanded a DOJ and FBI federal review on August 13th. The DOJ confirmed receipt and is reviewing the request. No suspects have been publicly named. No arrests have been made in connection with Nolan's death. The investigation is active. The grand jury is coming. If you have any information about what happened on Horn Island on July 4th, 2026, video, photographs, or any first-hand account, contact the Jackson County Sheriff's Department. Tips can be submitted anonymously. Come forward now. The grand jury window is closing. This channel has 10 subscribers who chose to be here from the beginning. This update is for all of you, and for everyone watching who hasn't subscribed yet. Hit that button. Turn on the bell. Leave a comment below. After everything you just heard, what is the one question you need answered before this case goes to the grand jury? Tell us where in the world you are watching from. 10 people started something here. Be part them. Rest well, Nolan.